There is presently growing sentiment about former undisputed lightweight champion Devin "The Dream" Haney. And he's in the news recently because he has decided to file a civil suit against Ryan Garcia regarding the events of their April showdown and the fallout. You see, Devin has been placed in a precarious situation where there has been a loss of funds and his money making in the sport of boxing, and the damages as a result of the outcome of things. And we're not talking about the fight. We're talking about everything that has come to light. Let's talk about what could be next, what should be next as these proceedings go full steam ahead. Independence can be a wonderful thing in life. The independence of a man who is making his own way. It actually blazes a path for others to follow. And such has been the case for the career of former undisputed lightweight champion Devin "The Dream" Haney, former challenger in the sport of boxing to the establishment. But now that he's arrived on the scene, he has met opposition of a different sort. And that is, if anything is outside the boundaries of what's legal can come upon him, then so be it. But such is the case as he has elected to go through the judicial system to correct some wrongs. Now, the way to really look at it is to acknowledge that his dad, Bill Haney, has done a tremendous job bringing not only Devin, but his family along a path toward progression and achievement. And that is something that has not been as a marketable commodity for the establishment. Because the establishment doesn't feel that this is the type of story or narrative that they want when they press forward with their sport. But the independence of the Haney family has put them in a position to be where they are and represent as they have. Now, according to an article from Boxing News 24, written by Robbie Benattain, there's a question about Devin with his civil suit that he's imposed against Ryan Garcia. And the article is titled, "Will Haney Be an Outcast After Lawsuit Against Garcia?" You see, even the media will do their part to try to bring down the Haneys for what they are accomplishing, because they could blaze the trail for other people. But when you think about what Devin had to deal with last April, leading up to his fight against Ryan, we saw all sorts of outside the tracks behavior, actions, verbiage from Garcia that questioned not only his integrity as a person, but the misrepresentation for the sport overall. For a man who was contractual obligated to face Devin Haney for his title, he didn't make weight, and he didn't promote the event properly and positively. And so what we were left with was a person who you had to kind of question his psyche. But for the media to come back and want to try to question Devin through this situation, understand how the article reads. Devin Haney has gambled with his career, choosing to sue Ryan Garcia over the events of their April 20th clash earlier this year in Brooklyn, New York. If Haney loses the lawsuit, he could have hurt his career, making him a pariah with top-level fighters and treating him like one of the untouchable class. The lawsuit is a huge gamble, and it may sink Haney's career, leaving him far worse off than he would have been. Now understand, people, that this article and the words that are being spoken and written here are by the author, who very well may have an angled axe to grind against Haney, because anyone who has been wronged deserves their day of justice, right, in court. But the way this is being written is like trying to undermine the obvious. You are trying to implicate that there may be penance if Devin goes to seek justice. He was wronged. A fighter entered the fight with him with performance-enhancing drugs in his system. He didn't sign up for that. The fighter entered the bout determined not to make the weight for the contractual fight for the title. Haney gave him a pass on that by saying he still wanted the fight to go through, but he didn't sign up for the cheating. And it was admitted by Garcia immediately after he had no intention of making weight, and he had been influenced by external sources to not go through with what his obligations were. So when you really chuck it down to something like that, admission by the man himself, this has nothing to do with what the writer of this article feels. But as it goes on, listen. Perhaps what Haney should have done instead of a lawsuit was begin creating interest in a rematch with Ryan Garcia by conducting frequent interviews and posting on social media. By the time Ryan's suspension is over in April 2025, there will be massive fan interest. I disagree with that statement, because when you are on social media, that is by choice. And Devin Haney has been a fighter that has represented, he's been on social media, but he doesn't live vicariously through that means. But his reputation has been hit by these events that he had no control over because the opponent, undermined everything that he had built for himself. And that very opponent has gone through great lengths, and I see no articles speaking on the hate speak that this young man has brought about, the admission of drugs that he has perpetuated, and the influences that he has over a youthful audience that have no respect for history and or the plight of civil disorder and injustices. So you just bypass all of that to say the best thing that Devin should have done is just get on social media, conduct interviews, and try to build for a rematch instead of trying to refortify the foundation of what Bill and he had built to this point, tried to be taken away by scum, who is not trying to work hard, who is not trying to be a world champion, who is not trying to follow the rules. Wow. You see, it's important to be able to read through the foolishness because there's plenty of it. Let's continue. Haney would have the revenge angle, and he wouldn't be seen as weak, as many fans now see him due to his lawsuit. Even if Haney lost the rematch, he still have made much money. This is not about money. And this is not about how people can perceive. Because in this world and society that we live in now, being on the wrong side of the law seemingly is upheld judiciously, and it is seen as weak when you want to take a stance against wrongdoing. And there's something seriously wrong about that, especially when a writer such as Mr. Devin writing this article cannot mention that Ryan tested positive for PEDs and has been on drugged out stupors and outbursts ever since. Not only just leading up to the event between he and Devin, but ever since, including earlier this week, the week of September 28th. Yes. So, is this article more or less a spin against justice so that the wrongdoers can have their way? We have people crossing our borders here in the U.S. illegally. And some of our politicians have now given in over our constitutional rights to have some of these people be in status over civilians who were born and raised here over generations. Where's the justice? You see, we're having some real social problems and issues. And money doesn't solve these things. But there is resolution. There is a way to overcome. The article goes on. There's a very real potential that Haney's lawsuit could result in him forever losing the chance for the biggest payday of his career in a rematch with Ryan, which would be a major missed opportunity. No, Ryan should be incarcerated. Not for what he did to Devin, but for the outbursts against society, communities, the Muslim community, the Jewish community, the black community, the boxing community. You see, it's different when you have a father figure that's prominent in your life in the most positive of manners, and you can go out and face the world for whatever it has to place before you. Devin hasn't taken it to the streets. He hasn't spoken about getting back in blood. Oh, how he would love to face Ryan again. He has stated quite readily. However, this is not about that. This is about what happens outside of the ring. And that's where he has taken the biggest hit. And Mr. Benatine in his article is not acknowledging that. Or how about the sentiments of Calvin Ford and Gervonta Tank Davis, two men of color who have had the most ill of representation as of late when it comes down to what Devin has had to deal with, showing no social support, but actually opposition, as if submitting to the very oppressor that has created this environment for Ryan to thrive in to begin with. Calvin Ford wants to say, oh, Devin and Bill, this is so not you with this lawsuit. What is he supposed to do, Mr. Ford? To be totally ruined financially by a cheat? Where is your backbone? How about you give your young charge, Gervonta Tank Davis, who's now coming up on 30 years of age, and he's not so young anymore. How about you giving him some backbone to face his contemporaries, the guys that he has found himself avoiding for so many years, and stop cherry picking and trying to steal coin from the boxing public and masses? Because it is obvious that you do not understand who you are as a man in this society and the injustices that can be wrought upon you. But just wait, as the day is coming when it will be revealed to you and Davis. Because the longer you stay in this sport, the more you find out the realities of what it is. And something tells me that you just are not going to allow yourself to leave until it happens to you, because you're not smart enough elsewise. See, your sentiments and the interviews that you've been conducting shows the ignorance of the fact that you do not understand. When mama says, if you ain't got nothing good to say about anybody, don't say anything. So, we're back to square one in Bill and his representation and what he has taught and brought his son and other children through to meet in life. And they'll be just fine, especially when justice is served. This is Stormy B-Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know what you think about this discussion. Leave comments and let's discuss further. there is a proper way. And then there is the not so improper. But you have to decide what side your butter will be on your bread, huh? Peace to everyone out there. And everyone, please remain safe.